Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast. This isn't a champagne flute, first of all.
Okay, well, I didn't have any champagne flutes, but I do have a bottle of champagne because...
I mean, it's a bottle of cava. We already drank the dome.
I'm like, you know what? It might be funny if I got a fucking Armand de Brignac bottle.
Mm-hmm.
They're $500.
Nice.
Like, Dom Perignon's like $130.
Yeah.
Like, that's more reasonable, but fucking Armand de Brignac is fucking like $500. I was like, oh.
My stepsister decided to like try champagne for, I don't know, it was for New Year's or something. But what are those gold bottles, like the spade ones?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Armand de Brignac.
But there's cheaper ones though, right?
No, well, not here. It's like Moet Hennessy's like highest, most expensive liquor. Dr. Dre owns like most of it. The company.
What's the
Armand de
gold one?
Is en français for Ace of Spade.
Yeah, what's the gold one that they have just like on the shelves, like when you walk in sometimes? Like they're fucking everywhere.
I don't know.
What
am I supposed to do?
Anyways, my stepsister decided to start with like a $80 bottle of bubbly and had never had it before, and they fucking hated it and like had 2 sips and they're like, no, we're not drinking this.
And then that's not even something you can like put the cork back in and like save it because it just goes flat.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on guys, come on. If you're not even like wine people and you jump straight into like a $90 bottle of champagne, it's like that is a particular taste. It takes a bit of adjustment too. But we're gonna drink red wine glasses full of cava.
I actually think that's a beer glass. I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
Just with the rigid.
I was going to say that is a weird...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But I didn't have 2 big wine glasses. So,
fair enough.
We are drinking some bubbly today because we have reached episode 100. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us this long.
Mostly thank you to me for staying this long and Willows for...
forcing you to stay this long.
Forcing me to stay this long.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, basically every month or two he contemplates quitting the podcast entirely. So thank you everyone for being involved. And as a special today for the 100th episode, we are going to take 100 shots on this podcast.
Wow.
But first,
100 shots of champagne.
Even that might kill us. But first, here's some ASMR for you.
Ooh, nice. You almost got that all in the cup.
Never mind. So cheers, buddy. Welcome to episode 100. It's a new era for the podcast. I don't really know how, but I had a bunch of like things. I kept brainstorming what we could do for 100 episode to like make it funny to celebrate it. And they were all, I kept coming up with illegal stuff. Or like I asked my roommate, I'm like, would you be mad if I smoked a big ass cigar in the basement? He's like, under no circumstances do that. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. So like, I don't know. There wasn't much. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, cheers. Thanks. Cheers to a 100 episode Reich. I mean, 100 more episodes.
I saw a fantastic video of there's a journalist who went maybe not a journalist but like a blogger went out trolling at a anti-abortion rally, and I just think this is one of my favorite forms of protest, where you dress up like and you join the side of the protest that you super disagree with, and then you just make them look really bad. And so this guy went with like a megaphone. He's like, I hate women. He's like, I believe that America is a Christo-fascist state and women don't deserve any fucking rights, and just like was going off like that. And these guys that were, you know, obviously agreed with these ideas were just getting so mad at him and were like putting their hands on him and like almost fucking fighting him. But there's so many cameras, they didn't cross the line. And they're like, he's not with us. And he's like, what do you mean I'm not with you? He's like, I identify with you. Of course I'm with you. And yeah, I think that's just one of my favorite forms of protest. It's like the birds aren't real. Like that's fucking brilliant. It just made my day.
Today somebody told me, or I saw a Twitter thread, they were talking about how healthcare in Ontario, I guess they're moving again to privatize part of it.
Okay.
So there's a big backlash on Twitter, and then some left-wingish union type person was like, if you're just gonna bitch on Twitter and then not actually do anything,
Yeah.
then like fuck you basically. And then so there's a bunch of liberals in the replies being like, well, what are we supposed to do? Like, if you can come up with one thing that, and then so this one woman was like, if you can come up with one thing that I can do that'll actually make change, then I'm all ears. And then like in parentheses, like, and I'm not talking about writing my MP, member of parliament for the you Americans. It's our equivalent of a Congress person. So I didn't send it because I don't want to get banned, because I think this would get me banned. But I was gonna reply, "You can shoot your MP."
That would probably get you banned. Yeah.
And then we were talking, well, because that is, I think that, and for the record, podcast gods,
talking about Minecraft.
I'm being this is sardonic. This is satire. What I'm saying, I'm not actually advocating for you to go shoot your MP, but there's only 330 of them, right? Like, so it'd only take like 330 of us to go to jail to like take one for the team.
I mean,
you know what
that's
I mean?
the thing about
that's
the thing about this state is it doesn't take that much to topple if there's public will.
Yeah. So I think and then Zach and I were talking about it later about how like Canada's we do not have a very high security budget.
Yeah, the security is not that strong.
No one except the Prime Minister has like security at all from the government.
Most of the U.S. is like that too.
Okay.
Like senators and Congress people, they don't get security. It's basically like Vice President and Speaker of the House and Leader of the Senate and maybe like a couple of people within the White House, like maybe the Chief of Staff and a couple key people get Secret Service. And other than that, everyone has to pay for their own shit.
Okay. So, yeah, but like,
well,
remember...
Offices are guarded,
we were talking about in the 90s, someone broke into the Prime Minister's fucking house.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Who was the Prime Minister? Was it fucking... whatever. I forget. But his broke into his house, was there for like 20 minutes before anyone came to deal with it. The Prime Minister's wife tried to wake him up. He told her to fuck off. She's like, you're imagining things. Go back to sleep when she heard someone in the house. So she goes and she has like a mantelpiece of like a carved of a loon.
Yeah.
That she was using as a weapon.
That's fucking... That's
very,
Canadian.
very Canadian.
That's Canadian as hell. Yeah, that's amazing.
And then, remember in 2014, someone just walked onto Parliament Hill with a fucking gun.
Yeah.
And like Harper had to hide in a closet.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it wouldn't be that hard.
I mean...
So if you're talking... I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying these people that are like, oh, there's nothing we can do that'll make a difference. Don't say that. Just say, I don't have the balls to do what it takes to make a difference. Fuck
Fair.
you. Fuck you, liberals. Anyway, on that note, welcome back to...
But short of assassination, I'm sure there are things that can be done.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I don't know anything about the fucking issue, but...
I don't know anything about...
Like, if you're talking about a specific issue, I do believe specific issues can be moved in, varying degrees, but it's like you're not going to affect really significant change. I don't know. I guess both are... It's really interesting looking at, like, the regime change that's happening in Brazil right now, where you have, like... Obviously, that's a very different situation, but that's like Lula, a left-wing populist, I guess you could call him. But this guy was considered the most popular politician like in the world when he was reigning. And then he got thrown in jail, now he's coming back, and now there's like this massive uprising against him. But I think in a lot of younger democracies, you see it happen a lot, but I don't know, people just get fucking complacent. They're like, oh, the bureaucracy is just so dense, we can't do anything about it. But grassroots is fucking effective. Like, the trucker convoy was pretty effective, believe it or not. And that was just like, I don't know, how much money do you think that cost? Like, less than $100,000?
Well, a few million, probably.
Not to, like, occupy Ottawa. Because they were paying a bunch of those truckers, like, wages to sit there.
Which is funny.
And, like, supplying them with, like, food and fuel. Like, that can't cost more than, like... I guess, how long were they there? Maybe, yeah, let's say maybe, like, $500,000 to $1 million. All told, all the fuel, all the accommodations, all the food, the private flights for the fucking leaders. Probably, like, $1 million. And they fundraised way more than that. But, I mean, yeah, that's obviously an inflection moment. But At least we're not fucking dying of medical debt. Like Bernie made a big speech about this the other day. Did you
Is he still alive?
see any? Yeah. You see any buzz about that?
No.
So he just made a speech just talking about just how fucked up the privatized healthcare system is and like the social impacts or the actual like real life impacts. He was saying 68,000, I think the statistic is 68,000 people a year in the US die because they can't afford proper medical care.
It seems like not a lot. 68,000 versus
That's-
350 million people.
Well, that's what they can prove.
It's a pretty good statistic. It's like 2%.
Yeah, so that's like around the death rate of like COVID was in the first year or second year.
No, I think like
Oh, no,
millions of people died of COVID.
No, it was like 1 million total globally after the first year. In the U.S., it was. I remember it ticking over 100 grand.
Do you remember COVID?
No.
Me neither,
What?
honestly.
Remember what? But yeah, 68,000 people a year die because they didn't get medical care, and it's over 500,000 annually claim bankruptcy because of medical debt.
Yeah, it's the number one causing a bankruptcy. I know that.
Yeah, and on from like one of the big credit companies, like a Credit Karma or whatever the fuck.
Credit Suisse.
No, they released a report saying that medical debt was around 30% of consumers' debt.
You know what's
That's
30% of my debt?
what?
Just
These nuts.
buying alcohol.
How do you forget how to use this thing every week?
Well, Tyler fixes my mic stand again. I'm going to because we have to get started on these 100 shots. So we're going to switch into the segment that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take somewhat earlier than usual because we're going to do it. Well, I guess we have to do 1 ounce. So we have to do it 50 times to each take 50 shots, take 100 total. So we're 12 minutes in. We usually record for an hour. So we have to do this every 45 seconds to be able to get it.
So we
On
do
time.
we do Boilermakers, but instead of beer and whiskey, we're gonna do
Absolutely.
we're gonna do Cava with Old Smoky Tennessee
So
salty watermelon whiskey.
So yeah, so as you all know, friend of the show, friend of the podcast, Old Smoky Tennessee Whiskey, is discontinuing our favorite stupid mango habanero whiskey, which is kind of a running joke on this podcast that we always take it. But they're discontinuing it, but they're replacing it, at least in our province, with a salty watermelon version. So I have it in front of me. It's
I've never heard of this flavor. Like I've eaten food that was like salty food with watermelon, and
Yeah.
it was really good.
Yeah,
I've
I've
never
never-
heard of salty watermelon.
now give it a sniff. I smelt it when I was pouring it.
Oh,
Pungent, eh?
That smells like
I'm getting watermelon Jolly Ranchers.
yeah, the Jolly Rancher. That's what it smells like.
So
It's probably the same.
let's
fucking
give
flavor.
this a taste and see where we're going. Thank you, Old Smoky, for sponsoring this episode. Tastes like how it smells.
Yep.
Fake watermelon.
Yep.
Um,
Really smooth.
I don't hate it. I prefer the.
Spicy.
You know what? You know what it is? It's bad whiskey.
Mm,
Like it's not good tasting whiskey.
right.
It's cheap.
It's just
So this
murdered with flavor.
the habanero covers up all the bad whiskey taste.
Yeah.
The watermelon does not.
Mm.
So I'm still getting a bad taste in the back of my throat, but the front artificial watermelon is fucking good.
Yeah.
I love the taste of artificial watermelon. You ever go like get those 5-cent candies? Did you have a 7-Eleven?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about the 5-cent candies.
Did you have a gas station where you grew up?
Oh yeah. So we had of course we had gas stations. The only 24/7 station for like an hour drive all around was probably like a 4 minute bike ride from my house. So as little kids, we get like a fistful of change. We bike down to the fucking store and just put our grubby little hands in the bins and
Yeah.
grab candies and put them in a bag, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, we would do that too. We would bike down to the Shell station on the beside my
It was a fast gas.
of course
Or
it
no,
was.
Tempo. That's what it was.
The Shell station right beside my junior high school, and we get like a Slurpee and and it was across the highway, which was like we weren't really supposed to go across the highway when we were like under 12.
Of course.
Like my parents just let us fuck around, like just come home before midnight kind of thing. But we would go over there to get a Slurpee and then some 5-cent candies. You know they're like 25 cents now. Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that burp absolutely tasted like the candy.
That aged me a lot. But yeah, those little chewy watermelons were that was my favorite.
Yeah.
And no one else liked them. And I was like, let's go all the fucking chewy watermelons.
I like the Coke bottles and the sour soothers.
Not a huge fan of the Coke bottle ones. Sour soothers are good. Trying to remember. I just like the big ass fuzzy peaches. Those are fucking good. Yeah, man. Those were the days.
And now that we're grown up, we drink
alcohol that makes us remember the 5-cent candies. You know what might be a good
shtick
is making a beverage line that's just mimicking those candies.
Yeah. We're mimicking just like flavors of your childhood. Like those fucking, you remember Fun Sticks? Or whatever.
The fun powder, right?
What are they called, Fun Sticks? Or?
You lick the stick and you put it in the powder?
Yeah.
Very, like, when you think about it, gross, right?
Yeah, yeah, most of it's pretty gross. Or the
Fun Sticks, yeah.
Juicy Pops.
Yeah, those were weird too.
Nerds.
Fruit Gushers.
That was just healthy stuff.
How is that healthy? What are you talking about?
They're so healthy.
Yeah, my parents didn't really buy us candy.
Yeah, me neither.
So I had to
my mom didn't buy shit for junk food. I had to trade for it.
Yeah. So, which like now looking back, it's like, yeah, thanks, Mom.
The best thing was like, as a kid, you watch the other kid that's got like Lunchables and the fucking like little breadsticks that you dip in the shit cheese.
Yeah. Oh,
and you're like, oh man, that kid's the coolest. Like they get the best lunch. But in reality, they're like malnourished, and you're sitting there with your home cooked meal that's like properly good food, and you're the one that's jealous.
That's funny.
Kids
actually.
are dumb.
Yeah, my
Fuck no, I'm thinking about Lunchables.
Yeah,
the
right.
Little pizza ones.
Lunchable. Yeah, my parents didn't buy Lunchables either. Or I hadn't thought about those
the little charcuterie
stick things you dip.
Yeah,
I haven't thought about those.
I buy those randomly, like in especially for like summertime camping, whatever. I'll buy like a whole pack of them because they're cheap. It's like $2 for like 6.
Especially because you can get like Compliments brand ones, right? That are just fucking
like no name. Yeah.
Yeah.
I shop at fucking Loblaws, but yeah, get a whole pack of the no name ones and just throw them in the cooler, and they're awesome camping snacks or like beach snacks or whatever. And it's like you feel like such a rebel, like such a little kid. You're like, oh, these were like a snack, but I can just like go buy these. I have like enough money to buy more of these than I could eat. And it's just like, it makes you feel cool.
Dunkaroos.
No, like here's a tip of the week, mental health thing for you. Go through the aisles of your local grocery store and go buy some fucking childhood snacks just because, and then go get like your favorite sugary cereal and just like fucking be a gremlin for a week. It's great.
My favorite snack growing up was sleep.
Ooh.
It's like I had to have sleep for dinner because I misbehaved.
I was gonna say that's probably why you don't sleep anymore.
Huh?
Used it all up.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, that is how it works. Yeah, it's a lifetime thing. It's not like a 8 hours a night thing. 8 hours a night's a myth. It's just it's cumulative across your entire life.
It's like all the people that think that solar panels like drain the sun. That's a real thing. Like politicians think that.
Jeez.
Like,
well, politicians just on average are below average intelligence, but that's exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, where I saw some picture someone posted of a solar panel with snow on it, and they said, like, this is why you can't have solar panels in Canada, you fucking libtards. And then everyone in the comments was just like drawing diagrams in paint of like someone with a broom, like just pushing the snow off, right? It's like you walk outside and your car's covered in snow and you can't see out the windshield.
Sweep it off.
You're like, you fucking libtards, you can't have cars in Canada.
I think the nice, like the high-end solar panels, they just use their own energy
to melt it, right?
To melt the snow.
Or
they use a tiny bit of heat. It doesn't take a lot.
The Tesla ones, I saw a video. I think they're the Tesla ones. I saw a video, or I guess like Solar City or whatever. They follow the sun.
Yeah.
And because they're always moving, nothing sticks to them, just like falls off.
Oh, that's not the shingles though. Shingles don't move.
No, because the shingles are like part of your house.
You mean the Solar City like panels?
Yeah, I think it was them. I saw a TikTok video the other day that was they follow the sun like a flower does.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about like because of that they go at such an angle like midday that they just like 90% of snow just falls off of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Have you seen the new sky dildos?
I didn't understand that.
The sky dildos.
Doug Dimmadome,
Yeah.
the owner of the
Sky-
Dimsdale Dimmadones, Sky Dildos,
Sky dildos. They look like dildos.
I want to know.
Yeah, no, it's actually really cool. So it's the new generation of wind energy. So it's just like a big white stick that looks like a dildo.
That was my nickname in high school. Big
So
white
this
stick.
thing just stands vertically, and it's designed in such a way, like the texture and the shape of it. Wind can hit it from any direction, and then it'll just like oscillate, like it vibrates, moves back and forth. So it's just like these giant waving dildos just like flopping around, and they just like have a whole field of them. They don't produce as much electricity per, but there's like a fraction of the moving parts, and they're way cheaper to manufacture. And they like dollars cost versus megawatt output is actually really, really good. So they are considering this to be an improvement on the old one. Plus, they don't make like that like noise pollution issue.
Yeah.
And they don't fucking murder birds because there's like not really any moving parts.
But birds are government drones, so like
I guess that's fair.
maybe that's why the Republicans don't want
Wind turbines?
Wind turbines is
Because it's
because
killing their surveillance.
it'll knock out their drones. I'm gonna tweet that later.
You should. You
And
write that shit down.
See if I can write it down. Write that down. If I don't tweet it later, I'm gonna tweet it while I'm editing this episode.
Perfect.
Perfect.
But yeah, the sky dildos are pretty good.
I saw somewhere
and that and like tidal energy. Like there's so many really good green initiatives that are coming up that can get crushed by oil and gas money.
Here, let's stop talking about the politics of it, but I want to talk about the business of it because this is a business podcast after all. Do you think there is room right now? Well,
Yes.
for green energy to be competitive in the marketplace.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It is. The solar and wind are have tipped to the point where the mass production of them is dropping below the cost of fossil fuels, which is the only thing. If you can drop below the cost of burning oil or coal,
Yeah.
you're in business. If you can drop below the cost of natural gas,
Now you're killing it.
you're killing it.
So, because like, for instance, like, because I know Canada's going to go carbon neutral 2030 is the aim, right? 2030. I think America wants to go 2035.
It's aspirational. It's probably going to be about 30, 40 years after that, but yeah.
Sure, but they're going to be banning like
Also-
petrol cars. They're going to be banning natural gas to heat your homes. Like,
Also, carbon neutral is just a nonsense concept.
you know what I mean, though. They're trying to go net positive.
Trying to
like,
do better.
They're trying, yeah, whatever. But
Except for the number of states that are banning electric cars.
I'm talking about Canada. So, because our oil and gas industry is very well established, like half of the TSX is oil and gas companies.
Yes.
And a lot of utility companies are also part of our TSX 100.
Yeah. And a lot of our utilities are, well, I mean, our province, Central Canada's hydro.
That's
and
just
wind,
Manitoba,
hydro
pretty
and
much.
wind. And then Saskatchewan, basically,
There's a lot of natural gas, and
they burn gas for power, or do they buy our power?
they might buy our power, but
Probably.
we're
And I think Minnesota and North Dakota
yeah,
buy a lot of
they
ours.
do. It's only us in Ontario and I think Quebec that produce.
Or sorry, not Minnesota and North Dakota. The U.S. has 3 grids. There's the Pacific Coast, Atlantic Coast, and Texas.
Yeah, but
Those are the
yeah.
those are the 3 fucking
So,
grids.
but when I'm investing, when I'm buying stocks, and a lot of our utility companies in Canada are really good investments, I'm always looking now through their portfolios and looking about how if they don't have a majority of renewable sources, what is their plan to pivot in 2030?
Right.
And if they don't have a good plan set up, then I'm like, eh. So if you want my opinions on Algonquin power, you can watch that. One of my most recent TikToks at Drunk Dividends on TikTok. I went into the Algonquin power. They're mostly renewable power company in Ontario, and they just on earnings they like dropped 40% of their value. And now the CEO had a call I called into the other day, so it's all on the TikTok. But I think I think Enbridge is in a good position to make a switch to renewables, but they're going to get forced at a certain point.
At
right?
a certain point, but I don't think it's 2030. I think it's optimistically a decade or two later. I think the headwinds of natural disasters, inflation, global growth slowing down, and just whenever growth slows down, whenever people go into crisis, they regress. They revert.
Dude, look at Biden.
They don't invest. They don't progress. They
Biden
go
turned on all the
backwards.
fucking coal again.
Yeah.
Look at fucking Greta Thunberg just got arrested at a German. She was protesting them.
Germany doesn't have any resources. Germany basically has been
Yeah, and they shut off all their fucking nuclear power.
yeah, they've been burning gas and coal, and that's all they have. Like, they're one of the worst polluters out there because
Yeah.
they have massive manufacturing output and they have no resources.
Yeah.
So if you account for their natural their resource inputs and you account for that within their footprint, they're off the fucking map. They have a lot of people.
Yeah, I think like put your biases to the side, listener. Like I always people get weirdly defensive against oil and gas here.
Yeah.
Like if I'm ever like, we're going to run out of oil, they're like, fuck you, you fucking liberal. It's like, we just are.
They should never run out of oil,
It's
though.
just not a good business idea, I think. Like,
I think the actual like run out of oil point with current tech,
we're like
and
70 years.
Estimation of like expanding technology, it's out past like the heat death of our country.
Yeah, but the heat death of our country's coming in like 20 years probably.
Well, that's the point.
At
Like
this
if
rate.
if you were to use all of the fossil fuels that we could access profitably, or in theory, you would sooner like be facing heat death of the country than you would face a depletion of fossil fuels.
I'm just thinking, like, how does it not, like, putting your biases aside, how is it not a good investment to have something that just makes unlimited power? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a good business model.
Nothing-
Is to just, like,
Well,
okay,
what makes unlimited like outside of fusion, cold fusion, like
which we're working on apparently.
in
But-
40 years to market. Invest in that.
But see, okay, like, for example, I own a vineyard, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And I make wine from the grapes, yeah?
Really?
The grapes just grow. They
Right.
just do it. It's plants.
Unt-
Plants are pretty cool.
But
they just do it.
I mean,
So
you're
that's-
not the one that does all the maintenance on the plants and the watering.
Yeah,
of the
but like
plants.
it's my money that does it. Like
But still, it's not something for nothing.
well, nothing's something for nothing, right? But that's the same. In my mind at least, that's the same thing with like building a solar panel. It's like you have to do maintenance and set it up, obviously, but then the
Yeah.
fucking sun just does it. Like it's a good
Yeah.
business
Well,
model.
that's why they call it renewable.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying though. Is like I don't know why there's so much pushback because I feel like
The only
oil,
the only reason there's pushback is because it doesn't make as much money.
but like I feel like it could though.
Make
You know
as-
how fucking expensive these oil drills are?
not as expensive as they make you think.
I don't know. There are hundreds of millions of dollars though you're spending.
Yeah,
on this
and they make
fucking-
tens of billions off of them.
I guess, but I feel like the ratio. Maybe I'm just not educated enough, but I feel like the ratio of investing in renewables is going to make you more money lifetime.
It's also here's the thing you gotta understand about power dynamics. Oh fuck! We have a shot glass there. I couldn't see it. It was behind my microphone. Fuck. I'm so sorry. Where's the towel?
Should probably hurry.
It was a little premature. I'm sorry, where's the towel? Hashtag clip that out.
Tyler just spilled all over the table as usual.
It smells like watermelon.
First thing he said to me when he got here was, "I haven't eaten today, so I gotta cool it on the drinking."
No, it just the fucking shot glass was behind my microphone. I couldn't see it.
He watched me pour it. Like I don't know why that was a.
Anyways, it's not about profit because profit is the incentive to cooperate with the fucking bourgeois elites, whatever you want to call them, the reality of fucking oil and gas is it's a tap, right? Like, it's sold in barrels, it's shipped on ships, and it is explicitly controlled through customs and through banking and regulations and money transfers and cash and currencies. And all these things are happening within a specific system that's controlled by who? Fucking America. Like, if you switch off of oil and you create dependency in a way that's like, oh, you make this thing, you deliver this thing, and people can just, like, in perpetuity have energy, that is really not good, because that breeds independence, and independence is like the death of fucking authority.
So
like, that's all it is.
This would be a good argument to have to, like, an ultra conservative type person. Like, the government wants you to use oil because then you rely on them.
Yeah, that's
like,
absolutely what it is. Like,
because you always hear the opposite argument from them, is they always go like, if you have an electric car, then the government can just shut it off. I hear that all the time.
who do you think controls the flow of
That's
your
what I'm
gasoline?
saying. It's like they could just track you. It's like they're tracking you anyway.
Have you heard of OnStar? That shit's been patented for like 20 years. That shit's tracking you anyways. And also, do you carry a smartphone?
Do you know that you
and
don't
also,
even,
do you use a debit card? Also, do you use a credit card?
the GPS, the satellites we have now? They don't even need a device on you. They can just watch you from space.
Yeah, that
Like-
too. Like, never mind micro drones that can sit 1,000 feet up
Yeah.
and have a lens that can see you and a microphone that can listen to you.
Yeah, people are
Smells
fucking
great in here.
This, like, unironically, it smells great.
But the fact that people, like, there's not even like a business case for oil and gas. There's not a business case. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know how else to say this, but like, if you're an oil exec and if you're looking at your next quarter, because this is how America thinks, is quarter by quarter. There's no longevity here. You look at your next quarter and you're like, how do I sell more oil? Thank you. Just puts it right behind my microphone again. How do I have more longevity? How do I make more money? And everyone's already buying all the gas they need because they need it and they can't not need it. Like, they're driving to work, they're heating their house, whatever. How do you make people need more gas or continue to need as much gas as they need today? What are the actions that you take? Especially when all the evidence points to the fact that burning the gas and burning the oil is going in the wrong direction, is going to fuck up the climate irreparably. So Exxon, with all its studies and scientists that say oil and gas is going to destroy our climate and it's going to increase by this and this many degrees every decade. I think they calculated a tenth of a degree of global warming every decade, and that was in 1970. And it's been pretty close. But they just buried it. They're like, no, we're not going to talk about that. And then they've spent tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars trying to prove the opposite. So as an executive trying to make money in the next quarter, how do you think about the shit that you're selling and the shit that you're peddling? And when you start thinking about it in that frame, a lot of the narrative around oil and gas makes a lot of fucking sense. Like the right wing loving oil and gas because the left wing hates it. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
They're just trying to own the libs.
Like what's happening right now with the they're trying to ban gas stoves or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's
Which,
just
I mean,
like,
is fair because the fact is, a really nice gas stove, like, I work in houses where people spend $25,000 on a gas range. Those are not the ones they're talking about. Those don't leak. They don't have emissions and whatever. Like, they're extremely efficient. They're really, really nice. But gas stoves that are old, which most people have older shit, especially with lower middle income, those will constantly leak. It's actually really bad for your health, and they're just constantly creating emissions. And if you multiply, think about if everybody in your city burned firewood to cook their food. Think about that analogy. Just in your neighborhood, how many people live close to you? I live in a really dense neighborhood. If everyone was burning firewood to cook their food, it would smell like firewood every fucking day. It would probably be a little smoky, a little bit hazy over every house if everyone was doing it at 6 o'clock in the evening. That's what's happening with cities that have really cheap gas, expensive power, and everyone has gas appliances. You just don't see it. You don't smell it.
Do you think that's why everyone's dumb?
Yeah.
Like they're just collectively their IQ is getting poisoned by CO2 emissions.
It does not help. But like particulate pollution, or like inhaling, like just regular pollution from like burning things, is one of the top causes of death in children globally.
But like, surely people are getting dumber.
Surely.
Like, I feel like it has like.
If I don't think it's like dumber in terms of like actual organic change or genetic differences. I think it's dumber by like nurture, not by nature. That's probably the best way to put it. I think it's a nurture thing, because eating shit food, like we're talking about Lunchables, the fucking sticks and the cheese, you're going to have reduced cognitive development as a kid if you don't get proper nutrition. And then that's where all that development happens. So you just like, maybe you're born with perfectly fine genetics, you're malnourished through your entire childhood, and you just have a handicapped cognition when you get to like 18 years old, and then you combine that with fucking TikTok and Tucker Carlson and CNBC or MSNBC, whatever, and you're just inundated with all this dog shit.
And then you raise your kid like that because that's how you were raised.
And then you're not trained for critical thinking. You're trained for compliance, consumption, and anger.
The 3 C's.
Yeah. CCA, just like the roadside guys.
That's CAA.
No.
Oh, okay.
That's how fucking America raises its children. Like, that's no shit, y'all are clueless, entirely clueless of everything that's happening. Like, if you really think about it, it's mind-boggling that it's not worse.
I saw a clip from like that my 800-pound life or whatever, and she was saying that like she drinks like 12 Diet Pepsis a day.
Based.
And the doctor or whatever talking to her is like, you don't drink any water or anything like that. And then she said, well, my mother taught me that if you eat sugar, then you drink a diet soda and it cancels it out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember this clip.
And it's like, Jesus. Like, that is not only something that your mother believed so much that they taught it to you, but then like that's something that you retained, and now you're an adult who weighs 800 pounds and you still believe that's a thing.
Yeah, because diet drinks are like 0 calorie usually, right?
Typically, yeah.
Like 0 calorie, no sugar.
The problem is aspartame, which is the flavoring in most diet drinks in America, is proven to be a neurotoxin. It's actually banned in the European Union as a neurotoxin. It like directly that's
the thing that I talk about. That there's a lot of core ingredients to most American food that is just banned across the world. So it's like, oh, this is American food because it's illegal elsewhere, because it's a neurotoxin.
Yeah, irrefutably, it's like you drink it, you die.
Like a lot of the colored different food colorings, like yellow 13 and whatever these fucking things are. Yeah, they're banned all over except for America.
The bread at Subway they banned because it wasn't considered bread because the sugar content was too high.
Like Wonder Bread.
Yeah, like it's just like, yeah.
I think, one of the most depressing things was probably my experience in Cleveland of like trying to buy like good food to eat in the non-white part of town. Terrible. I go to the white part of town. Amazing. Like better than here.
We've talked about this on the podcast before because
like
there's that clip from Boys in the Hood where Lawrence Fishburne talks about exactly what you're saying, where he's like, you know, they put fast food and gun stores on every corner in black neighborhoods because they're trying to kill you off faster.
And it's really hard to appreciate until you fucking experience it. And then you imagine this experience. Like, I had a truck and I was driving around. I had a vehicle. I had mobility. I had cash. And I was struggling to get a good meal.
Yeah. So imagine if you don't have mobility or cash.
And I was I was struggling because I was busy and like I got shit happening every day. It's like grocery shopping. You just run up town, get whatever's of convenience. I was struggling to eat well. And yeah, that's coming from somebody that had a company credit card and company truck and company gas. And my only restriction was time. Add fucking kids, a budget. and physical mobility limited by public transit. And public transit, by design, does not transition over these red lines. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, listen to the Bastards podcast of, like, the motherfucker that designed New York. And how he took it from, like, 200 rail lines down to, like, 15. And purposely changed from trains to buses and then built bridges that were too low for buses to go under. So public transit couldn't access white neighborhoods. And, like, just... And then every city in America saw that, and they're like, that's such a great idea. And they remodeled that plan, and it just pushed across America.
What an American thing to do.
Yeah, like the guy, like, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Like, there's nothing that makes fucking sense. And then you tie the oil and gas executives on top of this, and it's just like the most depressing, cynical evolution of a hopeful revolution. Like, U.S. was a great idea. It was a hopeful revolution looking towards a better future, and then eventually turned into...
And the U.S. experiment has failed, and Canada is just 6 mining companies in a trench coat.
I wouldn't say it's failed. I would say it's a fucking resounding success based on the Constitution, which is basically a bunch of rich slave owners trying to get tax breaks, and I'm going to say nothing's changed.
Which is kind of like based, honestly.
Like, the only people that had optimism were the pilgrims, like the suckers that came in and became the tax base. That's it.
I love...
Those are the optimists. The future tax base.
So, if you haven't been watching the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/votewillows today...
I'm only halfway through this glass and I'm really devolving.
You'll notice that while the other one is talking, the other person has been taking shots the entire time. So this is shot 29, I think we're about to take.
Wow.
So,
if you can't hear him swallowing, just put your headphones on.
So you know what I did here? I went half and half salty watermelon mango habanero.
You dirty bitch.
And then he spilt it all over the table, so we wasted.
What? That's what I wasted?
That was what it was, yeah.
Now I'm really sad. Spicy watermelon.
What a weird sensation I just had run through my body.
On top of the shot, yeah.
Huh? You okay?
No. I was just thinking about that fucking guy that was cheating at chess.
With the butt plug?
With a vibrating butt
Allegedly.
plug. No, that was just a troll. That was somebody just shooting that out. And hilariously, there's like a deep and significant like story to that entire thing.
Yeah,
But the only thing that made the zeitgeist was the butt plug thing, which was just like in jest and mockery, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I follow
I have a chess stan working for me, and he can just like, if I was like, oh, how was whatever match last night, and he'll like run down the play-by-play like some motherfucker talking about football. It's so funny.
I follow Magnus Carlsen on stuff. He's pretty funny. He's the highest ranking chess. Yeah, he's the highest ranking guy.
He's the Tiger Woods of chess
in the world right now. Bobby Fischer, I think, had a higher ELO than he did, but right now he's the best. Yeah, I saw a clip of him recently. He's playing speed chess. You get 3 minutes to play your entire game.
Oh, geez.
But when you hit your button, it stops your clock and starts the other person's clock. Right. So you have to make it's time to start, and Magnus just isn't there. They're like, yeah, start. So he makes a move, hits the button, starts counting down. 2.5 minutes go by. He walks in.
Yeah.
Wins the game.
Yeah, that tracks.
And then there's a video of him streaming chess at a house party, like drunk off his fucking ass.
Yeah.
It's just like he's pretty funny. And like all these, I love all these chess masters because they be all like, you look at their Wikipedia and it's always like they became it's like, started playing chess age 4, became the grandmaster contender age 15, and it's like they're all like that.
Yeah.
Because they're all just prodigies. But like, yeah, there's this other guy, Hikaru, I think his name is, who's like, he's another like right up there, like top 3, and he streams on Twitch like every day, just playing chess online, and he can fucking Like he'll like if he like loses a game or something, he'll like close his eyes and he can recount the entire game.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it was E3, B2, 1, like, and just not even thinking, just do, and it's like,
so his recovery and learning is just
it's
off the charts.
fucked. And it's like he'll because I guess on chess.com when you're playing,
Yeah.
you can do the next move, like
Right.
like you can just like, oh, if they do this, you can do this.
Right.
So it's like sets it up for you.
If this, then that.
And he does like an entire game while the first person's like thinking of their first move.
Yeah.
He's like this, here.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he's like, yeah, that's checking 10. And it's just like, what do you, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Game theory to an extensive degree. And it's just something you have to pay so much attention to, because one of my favorite fun facts about chess is if you start a random game of chess, you're almost guaranteed that whatever happens in that game is the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah,
it's just like shuffling a deck of cards.
Yeah, statistically, you've never played a game of chess that's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
chess is an interesting. I like it, but I'm not great at it. But I like it. You know, I can't do a lot of the like algorithms, like a lot of the like defense, like this. He did this attack, so you do this defense.
right.
I can't retain them. I've tried, and I just like,
Yeah. No.
yeah,
I don't got a brain for that.
I can't.
I know somebody that became a doctor with like an eidetic memory, and it's like, of course you did. Of course you became a doctor. It's like you have a near perfect memory, and it's like, how do you use that to your advantage? And this is one of those things. It's like, I don't know. I guess perfect memory, but what do you think about the like? Imagine CRISPR technology, and everyone could just opt in to perfect memory.
Okay,
How many things would that ruin?
a lot, right?
Like a lot of things.
I wonder if people want, like, I wonder if it's like a curse.
I think for it to some degree it would be. I think you can still choose what to think about.
I feel like
your recall would just be more clear.
Yeah, I've heard like every mistake you've made in your life,
Right.
you remember exactly what you did and the cringe thing.
But also every W you could think about.
Yeah, I guess. But it's like, because like a lot of our reality is created by our minds to cope, right? Like
Yeah.
almost nothing surely that you remember yourself doing. It wasn't actually that good, all
Yeah.
those W's, but it's like, so you could remember all that.
Right. You remember the feeling.
You'd be forced to remember that
Yeah.
in detail.
Yeah, I think it just makes you a very like agnostic and cynic person, probably.
Yeah, I've never met someone with a great like that. Like it's like Zach has a great, almost eidetic memory when it comes to like
Certain things.
and then fucking can't remember anything. Like he'll send me a link of something that happened or something, right? Like, oh, there's this brewery's releasing this thing, and then I'm like, we had a whole 45-minute conversation about this 3 days ago. He's like, no, we didn't. And then I like scroll back up and screenshot it, and he's like, oh, I guess so.
Yeah.
And like literally.
But I think for him it's like food, right? Like if you like, what did you eat on July 17th of 2016, and like he can recall it.
Well, he can recite laws out of the book.
Yeah.
Off the top of his head. Numbers he's really good at. Like he can remember phone numbers and like addresses and shit, like it's just in his head.
That sounds kind of ideal. And
or-
like, the craziest thing is fucking traffic directions.
Yeah, he'll look at a map on Google before we leave, and then he knows everywhere to get exactly how to get there.
The most annoying thing for me was he would
My business partner we're talking about.
Yeah.
If you're not,
so we would be driving back to some place from some other place, and it's like, I know where to go, I know where it is. And he would give me shit for the route that I took because I hit 5 stoplights
yeah, and
at
the other
6 p.m. instead of 7 stop signs at 6 p.m. because the stoplights would have been on average 4 seconds faster.
Yeah.
And he's like just giving me shit. I'm like, how do you no, like
Yeah.
you cannot reasonably criticize me for this behavior because you're saying shit that nobody gets. Like even on my drive home, I have a pretty regular drive home. And it's like, yeah, I have an idea of like when traffic's good, when traffic's bad, what's fast and what's slow. This guy's down to the fucking minute, and he's calculating it second by second, light by light. road by road.
But then he can't remember like conversations that we
Right.
had 2 minutes ago.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, so I
That sounds kind of good, actually. Like, that's like, if you're going to have an eidetic memory, make it a selective one.
yeah. Which I guess like if you could edit your genes, like that would be what you do. Like pick pick the good, leave the bad, right?
Yeah, it's like I remember good things interpersonally and everything professionally. Like,
Yeah.
eidetic memory would ruin, honestly, like, I think apps, like, anything that just kind of stores data would probably be a little bit compromised. Like photos and documents.
Why I ask my phone to remind me of something
Right.
like 30 times a week.
Yeah, like
I'm
calendars, reminders, honestly, education, training,
Yeah.
fucking politics would not work.
Because you can just remember everyone. They can't. No
No,
one can
because
gaslight
you would remember what the fuck they promised you. So I don't know how better to describe this, but really, 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 really internalizing the fact that politics has two dimensions. One is what people call politics, which is where you basically never do anything except for make deals and compromise.
Well, politics, how we know it, isn't like it's just two fascists fighting over
Right, but
how they're going to spend your money.
But those
like,
two fascists are both compromising and negotiating. Neither of them are doing what they said they were going to do.
But there is
or what they want to do.
Yeah, there is no left.
It's just deal making.
There is no left in politics.
No, it's just deal making. That's
Yeah.
all there is. There's deal making, and there's deal making, and then there's compromises, and there's more deal making.
Yeah.
That's politics. That's what people understand to be politics. And then there's, on the flip side, what you campaign on, and what you talk about, and what the narrative is.
And it's just like people lie and get away with it and no one cares, and then you forget, and then you go on to the next person.
Well, let me challenge you, listener, who's like, fuck this basic shit, I know this already. Think about your local MP, congressman, senator, whatever. Tell me the top 3 things they campaigned on. Top 2, top 1. What's the one thing they campaigned on? And then tell me what they've worked on in the last 6 months, 12 months.
They always say
2
it's,
years.
Well, it's harder than I expected.
Generously, I'll give you 2 years. What's one thing they've done in 2 years?
8 years.
What is one thing they've campaigned on? Maybe you'll be able to recall that. Go back 3. Top 3 things they've done. You're already lost. Even if you're a pundit, if you're paying attention, unless it's your full-time fucking job to pay attention to this person or this district, you don't know. Our entire fucking society is built off of this forgetfulness. And nothing we do is going to fucking change that. Like, CRISPR, perfect memory, eidetic memory, would ruin everything.
Let's do it.
Absolutely would.
Let's do it.
If it happened, it would ruin everything. Neuralink would ruin everything. If someone with Neuralink could be like, oh, as they're going up to the voting booth, like, let's recall, let's compare, like, you could do all of these calculations and research as you're standing in line waiting to vote. And it would negate propaganda, period. Not that Neuralink is going to work. I think it's going to kill people, but
That's fine.
there's a concept.
There's worse things that have killed people.
True.
I'm going to get a Neuralink. Fuck it. I'm going to die anyway, whatever.
I mean, once they stop killing 36 out of 38 monkeys, they put it in.
Yeah, but everything started as something you kill monkeys. So
No, like, they were, like, ripping their own limbs off.
yeah.
Anyways, human trials will be...
That happened to my friend Greg.
Greg used to have 3 legs. Now he's only got 1.
Shame.
I think memory as an idea, or sorry, memory as like a mechanism of the human experience is just... The fact that it's not good is probably better for the individual.
I think so too, yeah.
Just really fucks up the big picture.
Well, yeah, because like you couldn't like, what do you call that? Repressing. You couldn't repress your
Right.
memories, right?
Yeah.
Which, like, apparently repressing memories is like a really healthy way for your mind to deal with trauma. It just like gets rid of
Absolutely.
it, and that's like a real thing.
So here's a spicy take.
Oh no!
Our level of memory that we have,
Like any of us or me and you?
just general,
Okay.
is an aggregate average of the healthiest way to have memory. If you had more, it would be worse. If you had less, it would be worse. We have the average.
Well, that's evolution would support that, right?
Yeah,
Like there's
absolutely.
a reason why we have this amount of memory.
Yeah, 40,000, 60,000 years of human evolution would support that.
Yeah.
So it kind of sucks to be on the upper end of that echelon. And also, if you're on the bottom end, you're just blissfully unaware and emotionally responsive, which, I mean, smartphones are really good at exploiting. TV is really good at exploiting.
Yeah.
If you're on the upper end of it, you're just fucking miserable because you got access to all the information and you have no way to deal with it.
There's an episode of House MD where Buddy...
Which is clinically true, all of it.
Correct. So there's like this like genius guy with like 200 IQ that like wrote all these fucking, books about whatever. And then he started huffing glue
Nice.
to like dumb himself down because he thought he was happier
Dumb. Yeah.
So then that's the episode is because House, the titular character, the doctor, is like also a genius.
Yeah.
So as they're treating this guy, he's off the glue, so he's getting like his IQ back. He's like getting smarter, and his like wife is like this fucking bimbo idiot, and he's like, oh no. And then he's like, yeah, I choose to be dumb because it's like ignorance is bliss kind of thing. It's an interesting concept.
Well, you could say that's hitting me a lot deeper than I wanted.
That's what we're doing on
Jesus fucking Christ.
That's what we're doing on episode 100.
I don't want that. I don't want any of that.
I'm trying to get you emotional, Tyler.
Thanks.
I
I
mean, that's pretty much what we do with alcohol, right?
Ignorance is bliss is a trope for a fucking reason.
If ignorance is bliss, that explains my misery.
I was going to say joy, but yeah.
I just started crying.
I'm still crying. Oh, God. So, I'm thinking about psychedelics.
Sure.
And
which, for the record, we were going to do for episode 100, but then decided we don't actually break the law.
Well, I'm on an empty stomach drinking this much, so I'm close to it.
I think the mushrooms would have filled up your stomach, though, right?
Yes. Psychedelics provide you an experience where you stop thinking logically and are basically responsive and very, I guess, primal.
Give me my lizard brain.
Yeah.
Lizard brain time.
Lizard brain, mammalian brain.
That was the name of my ska band in high school. Lizard brain.
That's a great band name, actually.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
TM right there.
Every so often I get a good one.
I think when you hit psychedelics and you all of a sudden alter your mind state where maybe your logical center, your higher end of your brain stops working, your memory, your attachment to reality just gets a little bit shifted, everything gets fucking skewed, and you start thinking about life, people, intimacy, business, money differently. That's like a microcosm into chasing your fucking IQ.
We hear, at least. We have no experience with doing illegal drugs.
No, I've heard. Like, people,
yeah, that's what
I
heard.
I read a lot of books, yeah.
Yeah. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I don't read books. What am I, a fucking...
Lib?
I'm a poet and I didn't even know that I was one.
I hate that. That's funny. Ah, that's really offensive.
What do you mean?
Offensive to comedy. It's terrible.
Maybe we did. The psychedelics are kicking in, but we just didn't tell the audience.
God, I wish.
I didn't tell you. It was in the salty watermelon.
Yes, watermelon's a psychedelic. That's why Mennonites actually run the world.
Um,
Look up Melody Hildebrandt, actually.
Don't actually do that. I'm gonna
No,
bleep
do.
out. I'm gonna bleep that name out.
No, do it. It's fine. You can look it up.
There's no verification that she's a Mennonite.
But
I guess we should probably end it here, right? We're just going off the
we're getting a
rails.
little fucked up.
Thanks
We
for.
got another 46 shots to take. I'd
like to just take a moment to thank all of you, dear listeners, for making it with us to 100 episodes. We've, since like episode, I think like 40, we've done pretty much, tried to do like one a week, one every 2 weeks.
Basically,
So
yeah.
there's some breaks in there when I get busy with editing or like I get too busy to edit. But we've pretty much been trying to put them up consistently. And you guys, some of you sent me some private comments, and I know the audience isn't super big, but we're just happy that there is an audience. It exists, and it's more I always say it's more people than I could get to, like, I could talk to in a living room. So
I think about the story of Ready Player One,
okay,
where it's this genius and this grifter business partner, which describes us.
Which one am I?
And the idea of the entire game or the movie or the story is there's these like really deep associations to certain ideas, and it gets blown out into the entire world, and everyone just microanalyzes every part of the process, every step of growth. And I think about this podcast in that frame sometimes, where I'm listening back and just like trying to decipher what happened on 100, what changed at 100, and analyzing every word, every inference. And I'm like, you know what? I guess journaling is important.
This is journaling.
This is journaling. This is our version of therapy. Not therapy. Journaling, because this is the worst therapy ever. Now that
Yeah.
based on what I know about therapy, this is not effective.
This is journaling, but it's also documenting.
Same idea, right?
Same idea, yeah.
And,
well, I guess journaling's for you, documenting's for other people, right?
yeah. So I'm just talking, drunk as fuck. About
he's drinking the same amount as me, and I could drive right now.
Yeah, no. Well, that's just a good time. Don't tease me with a good time.
I don't know how. Every so often, I get stuck in drunk driving TikTok, and it's just there's so many good memes. There's like it's an orangutan where it's like when you're sitting there drunk as fuck, wondering how this could get even more fun, and then you feel your keys in your pocket, and it's just like,
we just reached the next level.
Not that I advocate for drunk driving.
No, never.
Just take an Uber, right?
If you have it. Anyways, we're not getting the politics of Uber. But yeah, I think the
Uber of drunk driving.
100 podcasts, man.
It is.
I think back to the beginning. How much has changed?
Nothing.
How much have you learned?
Not much.
And how much alcohol have you consumed?
A lot.
So that's what you really need to think about.
How many bottles of alcohol do you think we've drinking on this podcast? Okay, over under 500.
Under 500.
I don't know. I think maybe over.
Cans of beer, bottles of booze.
Well, how many standard drinks? That's 16 ounces of beer, 6 ounces of wine, or 2 ounces of spirits is a standard drink. How many?
4 to 600.
I think we might be over that. We used to go much harder on the alcohol as well at the beginning.
Yeah.
The first few episodes, it's
I had a 3-day hangover from one of these episodes.
and then we never drank that much ever again. Yeah, we like both slept on your office couches, and your bosses did not want us to be sleeping on there.
Yeah, I almost got fired the next day because I just like left work and went home and like just outed for a day and a half.
Well, and because that was a combination with you were like pranking people by putting empty beer cans on their desks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not very happy about that.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
They're breaking the law.
Allegedly. I'm going to bleep that out. So thank you for listening.
Take a shot for every bleep.
As we do at the end of some episodes, is there anything that we've talked about today that you've changed your mind on or not? You know what? Here's the thing. Is there anything in the first 100 episodes that we've really talked about that you think now that you're drunk, you've reevaluated and gotten more mature and changed your mind on?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of shit about identity politics. And, like, even down to... Yeah, I mean, COVID was a great example of the way that we evolved. I mean, I was always a cynic, but the information has changed. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, looking back, the things I most regret is like, oh, maybe I said this dumb shit. Maybe I said something too critical. Maybe I said something too, like, a hot take that was a little too hot.
Yeah, I feel like I don't regret anything. I think everything I've ever said has been exactly what I believe.
Well, sure, in your intention, in the way you're trying to communicate it, but in the actual word for word, I think some things, like, when you're a cynic about, for example, liberal politics, identity politics, when you're a little bit too cynical about something, people take it very seriously, and there's a lot of offense that gets triggered.
I say a lot of things in satire that...
But even unironically, there's a lot of dumb shit happening in liberal and identity politics.
Okay.
And you comment on it, you're like, oh, this is absurd.
Yeah.
And it's something that's probably going to be settled, I think, in the next decade.
I think
it's going to be really hard to look at.
This podcast is like a great evidence against us.
Sure.
Like, this will one day be played in a courtroom.
Yeah, I think the idea of just recording all your thoughts as they happen is really detrimental to your future as a politician, where you have to take a certain stance and believe a certain thing, because
you know how, like,
in order to believe a certain thing, there has to be a progression, and nobody believes in progression. They just believe in, like, the here and the now and the absolute.
You know how,
we
like,
don't have a lot of absolute. That's the entire point.
You know how, like, SoundCloud rappers get a face tattoo because they say then it, like, helps them not get a job, so they focus on their business career,
right,
or music career. I think, like, I say obscene shit on a podcast so that I can never become a politician, because I know I'll have to sell my soul to do it.
That's fair.
And I know I will.
That's fair.
If given the chance to sell my soul to the Illuminati, I'll do it.
Right.
Fuck it. It's like, oh, I get to go have orgies in the glass coffin and fucking Bohemian Grove and be powerful.
I mean, the Illuminati might take you, but you won't get elected. But maybe you will, because I mean, thinking, look at fucking Trump. If Trump can get elected, anybody can.
I was thinking of doing it the Trump way.
What do you mean the Trump way? That's the only way. There's no ways left.
Trump way isn't the way; it's the only way.
Yeah.
So, in conclusion, just like the Persians did in their ancient parliament,
I regret everything and nothing.
I think Plato said that.
No, I regret everything sober, nothing drunk.
I regret nothing drunk, everything sober.
That's the same thing.
Tyler, let's cheers to another. I put one more last shot for us.
Oh, Jesus.
This is number 50 for each of us, so 100 total for episode 100. Cheers to another 100 episodes, buddy.
Let's go drive around town.
I'm going to bleep that out. Thanks for listening, everybody, for 100 episodes. Next episode, we have an interview with somebody. I won't spoil it yet, but we actually have a guest booked for next episode. So stick in tune for that. And then episode 102 is just me because Tyler died in a car accident. You can follow us on everything, and by everything I just mean Instagram, and
at Drunk Dividends on Twitter for hot
stock takes, and Shrugdog, SHRUGDOC, for some alcohol.
Guaranteed to be more effective than Kramer.
Yes. Thanks, everybody, and if I don't see you, good
night.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.